Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Everyone, welcome to Fox 12 Now. I wanted to pull this up here just because we have that awesome shot of Ski Bowl up there on Mount Hood, and that actually looks pretty inviting. I kind of want to go skiing right now, but otherwise, we're going to be talking about snow and weather. Hello, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you always for joining us here. We start live streaming every weekday at 1 p.m. Pacific, and of course go throughout the afternoon covering a wide range of topics. But as you can see, I am not here by myself right now. I am joined by Katie Zuniga to talk about the weather.
Yes.
Yes.
So the question, as we have on the screen there, more snow on the way. As you saw for the mountain, absolutely. In fact, we're going to go over a first alert weather day for the Cascades and the Coast Range for tomorrow.
Both of them.
So both of those locations have that first alert weather day. We do not have one at this point for the Metro or the Valleys. Mark is going to be looking at updating some things today because there are hints that we could have some snow.
Really?
And I'm going to show you that, but at this point, it's nothing that we believe will shut down the city. It'll be more of like the flakes mixed in, and are we doing okay there?
Yeah, we're doing okay. We're live, so I'm just I'm bumping up her volume there. So for everybody watching.
Just want to make sure I'm good here. This
Yep,
live
I'm just
TV
loud.
for you
That's
folks.
all it is.
Yeah, so we're paying attention to possible, 1,000 feet or above. So we're looking at West Hills, maybe some. I know the top of Westland's about 500 feet, so we could maybe see some there. And then South Salem is looking at maybe possibly. Okay. So those are some things we're going to go over.
So a couple of places where that could be happening.
Yeah.
And since we are live as well, I did. I thankfully Katie agreed to this. I said if you are watching on Facebook too, feel free to drop in some questions, or on YouTube if you do have those, and we can go ahead and take those as we go throughout this. But
I'll do my best.
We'll do our best here. But yeah, where do we want to begin here?
Let's get over to the monitor.
Let's switch the cameras.
Yes, originally when we were planning on doing this, had planned on doing like a where we ended our, because we're technically getting close to the start of meteorological spring. And if you don't know what that is, there's meteorological spring and there's astronomical spring. One is based on the sun position and the other is based on record keeping. Just makes it a little easier. So meteorological spring starts on the 1st, Friday. I wanted to do a recap for us.
Yes.
We need to talk about this. This is more important than looking at that. We will do a quick recap on the temperatures. You can see more red on here than anything else. It actually is a bit of a warmer month. We've already hit 52 today, which we were expecting to do. We're not expecting to warm up more because we have that cold front that's coming through. And when that does, everything's going to drop and we're going to see cooler temperatures, probably mid 40s again on Friday. But as a whole, I just wanted to show you here that we have had just a slightly warmer month. This month is not going to go down on any records or any record book as being extremely warm month. Now I want to show you the rain. It's been fairly wet, not a soaker of a month. Typically we get to, well, I'll step back here so you can see it, just a little more than 3.5 inches, and you can see we're at 2.5. The question is tomorrow. Will we see an inch of rain tomorrow before we end the month? We're expecting it to be a wet day today, just not a soaker of a day, maybe around 1/4 inch for the Metro and Valleys. We've already seen more than 1/2 inch, close to an inch along the coast, and we knew that was going to happen. Here we go. This is what we have. This is the satellite image of what is currently happening. It's kind of a few hours ago up to now. You see this nice little swirl right here? Some people call that a comma, some people call it a cinnamon roll, but that's where that center of low pressure is, and everything, all the air, the wind, everything wants to rush in to fill the void of that low pressure center. So you have the trough. We often talk about this on air, that's coming down and spinning around, and everything's being drawn into that center. You have two sectors that we're looking at here, the warm sector, the cold sector. We also call it the cold front and the warm front. We are in the warm sector right now. That's why we're seeing rain, because air is still lifting. We're still getting the cooling of the air. It's mild. That's why we're seeing lighter rain totals and warmer air. But right behind that, and here it is, there's that cold front that's coming in toward us, will drastically drop things. And I have a couple of images to show you to help with that. First, when we look at the upper levels, you'll notice we have these colored to kind of indicate different air temperatures. Cooler air to some warmer air. We are not getting the Arctic air like we had with that storm we had in January. If you remember, we got freezing cold. That air comes in from Alaska. We have that low pressure center, and it gets sucked in through the gap in the Cascades that we talked about. And we will see that come through, and that's when we get that strong east wind and everything's really cold. That's not what we're having this time. It's slightly different. What you're seeing this time is that system's coming down, bringing in the cooler air, but it's coming over warm water that it's coming toward us. So that changes things. It's still cold, still giving us the wintry weather, but not quite the same as when we get the Arctic air that comes in. One other little fun fact, when you see these troughs dropping down, that means that the winds are stronger on the back half. It's like the shovel that's digging in. It's coming around the back, and then once you get dug in, then the winds pick up on the front side, and you start to see your trough starting to lift out. And so that's what you have happening for us right there. After that, this is where we get into that bit of a question mark, because this is far enough out that all of this, expect this to change. So we look at it, we keep an eye on it, but we don't bank anything on it because it all changes. What happens when we have that trough digging in and those winds are coming up from the south? Well, we get the strongest winds right along the coast here. This is today about 5 o'clock. You can see gusts in the 40-mile-per-hour range, 30s through the Portland metro. At one point, it looked like the strongest winds would be right around 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Here's 9 o'clock, and you can see upper 40s as you get through and head down toward the Newport area. Still in the 30s, low to mid 30s for Salem. This will shift, this will change as soon as that cold front hits, because when that wind is coming in to fill that void that it's looking for, that's when you see the strongest wind. That means it's approaching and you're getting close to that. Once those winds slow down, that cold front has arrived. So here you can see things different. Now you're having a westerly wind, but we're still getting some of that south wind here, so it hasn't got to the metro and the valleys yet. Then you fast forward just a little more, now everything's back to right where you would expect it to be. And again, farther out, we're not going to talk about that right now. We'll get to that later. Here's what we have for the forecast wind gusts. Coming. Cold front. There you go. You see those winds just go doop, 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 right down. That's when that transition. You remember when we were looking on that map, right around that time is when you saw everything starting to shift for us. This is also when things get a little bit cooler for us and our snow levels start dropping down. Here's another visualization for you. You'll see all of this green and these yellow, that represents the rain, and then the blue represents the snow. So right now we're in that warmer sector. Our snow levels are up. We're only getting snow at the highest elevations. Look what happens when the cold front hits. Oh, look at that. 3 a.m. on Thursday, and you're starting to see back to the coast range and the Cascades with the snow. Now here's the question that everybody wants to know, usually. Are we going to see any snow here? Well, if you look at it as we go through, you did see a time where there was more blue through this area. What that means is we have a possibility to get some snowflakes. We don't have overnight below freezing for an extended period of time, or even our daytime temperatures getting much below the low 40s. That means that maybe it's cold enough to snow in the upper atmosphere, and it can definitely get down into some warmer air, but is it going to stick? Is it going to land on the ground? We have to have those cold temperatures, and we talked about this when the ice storm came through, from the top to the bottom for an extended period of time for it to be there and melt up. So you might get a dusting, you might get a skiff, and it might build up a little. There'll be pockets of areas, microclimates. Some people may see a little more, some may not see anything. So we want you to know that that possibility is there, but it's not going to be something that shuts us down. And this is going through where you can see, possibilities of a few things, but again, nothing major as we go through the weekend into the start of the next week. Here, let's go one more. Get through all this. This is getting, again, a little too far out. I have different controls here than I do. Like usually I can skip that when I'm on air. I can't exactly do that here. Okay, snow levels. You'll notice they're pretty consistently low. We're dropping right now. We get down into that 1,000-foot area. That's what we were just talking about, where we have possibilities, and then things start to go up as we get beyond Wednesday into the later part of next week. This is why we're watching it. One aspect that we look at, definitely not the only one. This is also what we talked about, is with the amount of snow that we're expecting with this. So National Weather Service has a winter storm warning for all these areas, but you notice that the gorge is not in that. It's very specifically has broken in these areas. So this is not a first alert day for the gorge. It's for the Cascades and the areas in pink. It starts tonight, later tonight, when the snow is expected to pick up through Friday morning. 2,500 feet and above, another foot to 2 feet. And then when you look at 15 to 2,500, another 5 to 10 inches. And then, of course, we talked about those gusty winds, as you expect. Then you downgrade a bit and you get to the Coast Range. This is just a watch. It starts tonight but only goes through Thursday night. And we're looking at anything above 1,500 feet, getting about 3 to 8 inches and continuing to see those gusty winds. Because of all of these factors, we do have that first alert day for the Cascades and the Coast Range for tomorrow, knowing that right now the roads are okay. By the time we get into later tonight and through tomorrow, traveling mainly across the Cascades, but potentially across the Coast Range as well, will be a bit dicey. Now, don't let this freak you out. And I want to be very clear, this is just one model. I talk with Greg about this all the time. We look at half a dozen or more models, and I can only show you one. So don't, Katie said on Fox, we're going to get all this snow in the valleys, okay? Just know I'm showing you one that is really good. You can see up the higher elevations. We talked about that 1 to 2 feet. You can see some, and then the gradual descent as we get in. So the areas that we're watching are the hills and down into Salem. No, we are not saying that Salem is going to get 6 inches. Just take a look at the fact that we're showing you the areas that could see something. If you get something in South Salem, it'll be a little more than in Salem. It'll be a little more than in Portland, in that area. So yes, there's a possibility. We have more factors to include. I just want to put out there so you know it is. 7-day. This is the last bit I have for you today. The things I want to point out are the fact that not one dry day on our extended forecast. You definitely see that jump, as we've talked about, with that cold front from 52 to the mid 40s. And then we stay there for quite a while, and that's where we saw that reinforcement of that trough actually not completely going away. So that's one factor we will be looking at. And then, yes, we did put a chance for there to be snowflakes mixed in on Friday, Saturday, and actually even tomorrow morning. Also, it's that mixed bag of weather that we love when we're in seasonal transition here, where we have a chance for snow, for hail, for thunderstorms, at times with some sun breaks in between all of that. Hopefully, things will calm down as we get into the start of the month, and we'll see things starting to get a little more actual March spring-like, you know, when we get there and we start to see warmer temperatures, because I don't know about you, but I'm ready.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Some warm weather. I love the snow. You guys know that about me.
Yeah.
But oh, I want some sunshine.
But it's rain.
It's rain.
Or at least wet for the
And then you
foreseeable
see here, I
future.
mentioned, like we have Saturday into Sunday, that gets to near freezing. But at this point, everything, you know, Portland metro area through the valleys, we're not expecting it to drop down into the teens like we did in January.
Gotcha. And I've learned a lot, as I always do when you come on here and
Hopefully
talk
it's
through
not
this.
too much.
No, it's great. Something else that I was going to bring up too, just so you mentioned, you know, the higher elevations, 1 to 2 feet up there on the Cascades.
Yep.
Yeah,
Anything above 2,500 feet.
Which has got to be good for the snowpack up there. I think I heard earlier this week we're at like about 80%.
It's going up.
It's going up?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah. We keep a track on that. And at one point recently, we were actually at 100. So
Oh,
I'm sure some
great.
of it melted back, and then now it's getting to be put back on there. And also to note, pass levels around 4,000 feet. So keep that in mind. That's why we're talking about travel across the Cascades. That snow level's below pass level for us going over the government camp area.
So it could be rough.
It would be rough travel.
If you're going over there. And then for the Coast Range, just to recap that too, because I know people are asking about that for as far as travel through the Coast Range.
It'd be better to do it during midday.
Yeah.
And it's only around 3 to 8 inches at that 1,500. So some of those are pass levels. That's kind of right about where we have 2 passes over the coast, and those are right at that. I think they're like 15 to 17 are the elevations of the 2 passes. So there's a chance for there to be 3 to 8.
So be aware of that as well. We did have one question. Marcy says, any clue on Columbia County? We usually have our own microclimate here in Scappoose.
Well, okay, so this one, I didn't look specifically into those. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Sorry, I'm throwing this at Katie right now,
Well, it's usually in that area, like if there's going to be some sort of precipitation that gets accumulated in there. That's one that gets that.
One
of the areas that gets it, yeah. Because I remember on Valentine's Day, we weren't seeing much in the Portland metro, and they were getting a good amount up in that area. So let's see if we can look here. If this helps.
You're also getting a little behind the scenes look at how he's controlling this too. With
this is connected. I hope that's
there's
okay.
so many buttons and things on that right now. I have no idea how you keep track of all that.
Okay, I'm going to try and see if I can move this. Can I move it slowly?
getting to see this in real time, everybody. So this
trying.
is live.
Oh, I did it. Look at me.
Wow.
There we go. There you go. So Thursday morning, you can see there's a chance pretty much everybody has a little flake or two, and that's why we have that on the 7-day, and then it breaks up. So as far as specific totals for that area, I do not have anything. Because like she talked about, we have so many microclimates that we wish we could dig into every single one of them. It's hard, so hopefully this answers some of your question. You can see here where you're at on the map and get an idea that you'll probably be one of the areas that gets something, a little something.
Which even learning from you from the last time during the ice storms when we were talking about all this, you know, I was really became cognizant of how many different microclimates we have here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be really hard for your job to
is.
figure all that out. To really, I mean, people, you know, when you're watching the weather reports, I mean, you have so many different models that you're looking at, so many different microclimates, so many different places, and it really can change from one. You know,
and then there are some
10 miles from one spot can be completely different.
Well, not even 10 miles. It can be, it's less than that. It can be just a couple of miles. And there are some people I was talking about that are in the Bethany area where they get impacted by both the east wind and the south wind.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, depending on where you are, you might just be only one or the other or both. And so having to be able to, you know, manage individual forecasts. I mean, it's going to be different in the valley from, you know, one elevation to the other. As you just saw, Salem versus South Salem had different totals, right? So we try to hit as most areas we can, and we often try to focus on the more hard hit areas because we do look at everything when we do our forecast, and then we say, okay, we only have a couple of minutes per forecast. We need to focus right now on the people that need this more. So if your area is not specifically mentioned during a weather forecast during one of our newscasts, it might be because that didn't catch our eye for some reason, and we're letting the people know that could be impacted. Like we'll often focus on the east wind. You won't see us go down into the valley very often with that, right? Because we're looking at the east wind. Well, now we have the south wind. So you notice we're not talking about the gorge. We're talking about anywhere in there. Everything is the coast, south coming up through Eugene and Valley because those are the ones that are impacted by the south wind the most.
So that's why, right there. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of factors that you put into that. So thank you very much for showing all of this too. I do. Let's see if we had some more. Last time at Southern Scappoose, excuse me, we had more snow than Vernonia got. So that's again probably talking about those microclimates. And even the elevation difference, it didn't even matter. So yeah, it's a lot to factor in.
And before we go, can we pop this up one more time?
Let's do that, absolutely.
I'm going to tell you about this every single time I get a chance to share with you folks, is that we are on this 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. When something hits, we are in the Weather Center, we are putting something up, and we hone them in. They're about 1-minute updates of things. When we had that tornado, when we have the snow start, when we have a windstorm start, anything that happens, heat, anything, we will put this up, and you just have to take this, put it on your phone, and you can pick your area, you can pick your type of alert, you can adjust it to what you want to know. When heavy rain is starting to be indicated, when lightning strikes are indicated, these will send you a little push alert to your phone that says, hey, heavy rain is indicated in your area right now. So you get some updates as things are happening, and you don't have to wait or go and look for things. It's literally one click and it brings you right to it, and it's one of us on the weather team saying, hey, look over here, a new warning just popped up, and here's what we're seeing, and here's where we're expecting it to go. So if you really want to know that weather on the spot, this is going to be your best bet to making sure you're staying up to date.
So download that from the App Store. Go get that, the Fox 12 weather app. Great resource right there for everybody. Also a great resource is the Fox 12 Oregon app as well. So just download both of them. You have all the weather information you need, and you get to watch everything else that we're doing too. So
yes, so we have very specific things that are only on that app, and then we have things like this that are on the Fox 12 app. So they're both very valuable.
Yep, absolutely. And Katie, thank you as always for being here. I love these segments because you get to go more in depth. You know, we are live, as you've seen, you know, so we are live while we're doing this. You know, mistakes happen sometimes too. I may press the wrong button or whatever, but we have Katie here, you know, going into this really in-depth weather and getting to take some of your questions. So we appreciate everybody who's joining in with us. And we do have more coming up. So in just a few minutes, well, at about 1:30, so in about 8 minutes or so, I'm going to be joined by John Horvick from DHM Research. We're going to be talking about tolls on Oregon roads.
That's a controversial one.
A lot of controversy on that one, and a lot of opinions. And that's what we're going to be discussing as a new survey came out, getting people's opinions on tolls. I'm going to guess most people aren't a fan of them, but are they necessary? How do you feel about it? We're going to go in depth on that, and we will be live as well. So if you do have comments or questions, feel free to drop those in. But John's really good at going through all of the data and letting you know how people are actually feeling across a wide range of demographics. So that's coming up at 1:30. You'll definitely want to join us for that. So wherever you're watching, we'll be on there. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you'll see this end. We'll start back up at 1:30. But if you're on the app or the website, we'll keep going. We've got more over there, so we'll get geared up for this at 1:30. Katie, as always.
Anytime.
Appreciate it so much, and that's it. I'll be back shortly. I'm Greg Dubler. This is Fox 12 Now.